on the March 24th meeting of the Cortland City Cortland zoning hearing board to order at 5:31. And I'm going to make a suggestion that we move agenda item 1, which is election of 2 officers to the end of the subject. Agenda item number 2, which is 178 Clinton Ave, Riverside Plaza.
If I might, can you move up
Watson Street?
159 Fort Watson to get that out of there, because they're here.
Yeah, that's good. We'll take agenda item number 4, move it into the number 1 spot. That is 159 Fort Watson Street. And an area variance, seeks variances to create a parking area on a vacant lot owned by Jessica and John Bergeron. Used as ancillary parking for proposed use for providing 161 Fort Watson parcel. For a special use permit site plan review at the April 7th County Planning Committee meeting. Hello. You're here to represent that applicant.
And with that, Mount Village LLC, I own the building next to it, 161 Fort Watson Street.
Okay,
I have a tenant there and they want to open a convenience store. They haven't moved in yet. And for parking, I spoke to John Bergeron and I'm renting his lot. And I'm hoping to get maybe, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe up to 6 parking spots there.
we're going over some of the items that were done with Cortland County, so the County Planning Commission. But something that you're going to lease this. then.
Yes, at this point it's leased. I plan to buy it, maybe a couple of years.
Okay.
But at this point, yes, I have a lease with John and
And the form of the lease is just a lease
to rent.
for
yeah.
Parking areas.
Yeah,
for a term for parking area. It's not a lease with the intent to buy, it's nothing other than.
No, it doesn't say it, but I just spoke to him about it, but the lease per se is just for the park.
Okay,
This area is currently a GB2, right?
wondering,
And R2.
and R2, yeah, we've had this down there before, but the question that came to me when looking over the documents was. You're making the application, he owns the property,
Right,
and so that it would be, I can certainly, you can certainly vouch for it, but, I'm just not sure who should be making the application.
Well, I think that's up to, I
Yeah,
think that
that's-
would be up to Charles.
There's
or-
a letter there, we're also.
Okay, all right, so we're
So no legal part here that we have to worry about?
She has a handwritten
Handwritten,
agreement in there,
Okay.
it's attached to that.
good. Still need it.
That's the only question I had to add, was, the legal end of it being in. Somebody else owns the. Insurances and all that will be taken care of and all that liabilities.
the insurance, I have a supplemental insurance, so if anything should get hurt on the
Okay.
parking lot, my insurance will.
So you have that special
Yes, I
endorsement?
do, yes.
I don't think I'd be concerned about it, most of the liability part, so. Good.
Yeah, those are the questions. Sometimes the underlying ownership is something that has to be taken into consideration, even if you both agree. Sometimes you just have to do that according to the state and the counties, when they look at things.
Yeah.
But with that being covered, I don't have any other questions. Anybody else have any questions for our applicants at all? Without any further questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. We have a motion, I will second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Public hearing is closed.
So they're applying for like 3 or 4 area variances.
Yeah,
front yard parking. There, I don't even know, I've been doing so many of these.
well,
You have my sheet.
yeah, it's front yard parking, and it's more of the extension of the use is gonna, I think, impact that versus the planning of it. I think it seems to be like, it's kind of.
Well, you got, again,
Well, the front yard parking is more for 159, right?
no, the front yard parking is for that lot too.
161,
Yeah.
there is no front
I mean,
yard.
159, yes,
Okay.
so
Yes.
161, different lot, not hearing any of it, just hearing 159. Right, your parking, what else did I have there? Vegetative strip?
Yep.
Lot coverage maybe? No, not lot coverage, 'cause that lot is huge. I think that's it, right? Just front yard parking and
Yeah, 3 of them, excuse me,
what was the other?
I'm looking.
I don't have my sheet, you guys got it. My cheat sheet, not that I can see it, I don't have my glasses.
Front yard parking, max parking and lot width.
Yeah, so max parking, yeah.
Um,
So there's only the
Oh, yeah.
It's right there.
the store itself is only like 300 square feet. It's one parking spot per 100 square feet, I think is the.
It's just about,
But she's only allowed 3, she wants 6.
you know, how you get 6? Going 300,
That's why she's asking for a variance for max park.
I mean, on the other side, that's on the other side.
That's where she's going. It's 159 is that whole lot. That whole vacant lot next to it.
But I'm saying for 161, it's only for the 3 parking spots there,
No,
and then the rest on the other side, or
161 is completely out of the. He owns
it's Monday.
it.
All right, takes a while for this brain to get there. Yeah, I see that. Using Monday as an excuse.
Yeah, you guys said, let me check this. Well, you're
That's
checking
my
that
story,
out.
I'm saying.
I'm going to go through the questions.
Just the only other thing is, like we've been doing with everybody,
Yeah. Bring it
so
up.
we could give them a year or however many, how long you want
Okay.
her to give them, like
Yeah.
to make sure the business gets established and it's working to get that lot
Okay,
paved.
yeah, you're fine with that. 'Cause we usually give people a good season, couple seasons, and then.
That would be good, yes.
So
She
Because
figured a
once
couple
I-
of years, if you remember, she said probably a couple of years.
Yeah, that would be good, yes, because then I can buy it and then I take ownership and then, you know, yeah. I'm fully aware that. it has to
Sound
be paid.
okay to you?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
the only issue the county saw with whether it's paved or not is drainage. To make sure that the drainage doesn't end up in Port Watson Street.
yeah, drainage plan,
Well, if it's- as long as it's impervious for a couple of years, it's not gonna be that big a deal, but once she paves it, it has to have a dry well, that's all.
But you'll have to come back here for that anyways, right?
no, we'll condition it on, stormwater plan.
Because it has to be paved, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go through the questions. The following tests will be considered by the zoning board of appeals to determine whether the variance is waived, granting or denial of the area variance request. Number one, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby property will be created by the granting of the area variance. I don't believe so. Everything's gonna stay the same. Looks like no new construction and then, the impervious coverage, eventually and stormwater handling. So I'm gonna say no to that one. Whether benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than area variance. Well, this is our method, so I think that's a no as well. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, I don't think so for 6 parking spots, even though we're doubling it. Doubling the by right amount, I don't think that's too large compared to the other lot of area of, 159. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. It's a well-developed area, so I'll say no on that one, Andy. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the board, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. And, I think it's something that, yes, it is self-created, and I just will leave it at that, this is kind of what we have to do when you have a change of use such as this. So, looking for any other discussion amongst us. Now, we should try to work see that.
You intend to lay down some new crushed stone, right?
And propose that the,
Something like
grant the
that.
variance, sorry.
Mhm.
So. I'm going to propose, and if anybody there wants to, correct my language here, please feel free to do so, is, vote that the, variance, requested, the three variance requests be, approved for 159, sorry.
Mhm.
159 Fort Watson. With the condition added that construction and implementation of stormwater and management devices and all other issues related to creating the parking and the accessibility be completed by this time in 2 years, by the month of March. 2 years, and that's my motion, such as it is.
So, the construction, storm water management.
Construction, stormwater management, and any accessibility, construction. Accessibility, construction, stormwater management, has to be completed in 2 years.
Impervious surface in a dry well for the lay people.
Yeah, there's, and that
Compliance with impervious surface requirements and dry well.
The only thing I would suggest you change it to is maybe either move it back to the fall, the deadline, or move it up a month or two, because
okay, you mean the deadline, 2 years,
the only reason I'm suggesting that is because she pulled, some reason something gets delayed.
Yeah.
You're gonna be paving that in January and February and March, which the weather is, who knows what the weather's gonna be.
I'll go to, September 30.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Particularly. Oh, well, fiscal year like that,
So what's our date?
September 30
Um,
of 2026. I'm sorry, 2027.
okay, so that's the motion.
That's the motion. Look for a second.
I'll second.
Second, been made by Jay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Just that way you're giving her 2 full construction seasons to get to.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I don't think she even needs, even if she acquires it, I don't think she needs to come back.
And we'll see how the business does. Hopefully it'll do well, because that starts with vacant. I mean,
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, we don't have
Yeah,
anything.
see how it goes,
They're only gonna compete with Bird Dairy down there. He's got the stoplight that works for him. He'll be driving along, no cars coming, all of a sudden.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, yes.
It always helps business.
Good for you. Yes, all right,
Okay, thank you.
very good, you're welcome. And
Just
you got
going out
something
for you to sign something. Okay. Just a moment, I'll have you sign, this. Yeah.
Okay, next up, we do,
Yes.
you Clint Ave next.
Oh, it's this gentleman here.
Are you for Clinton Ave?
Yes.
Are you for the Clinton Ave?
No, you haven't met Mr. Lewis yet. He's our new corporate.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. At the end.
Oh, AJ's not.
He has moved on to, the legal, the judge, judicial.
Oh my gosh, where am I?
Where have you been inside?
Yes.
Sleeping, man. Well, welcome. We'll get your high blood pressure medicine ready for you anytime. So.
Okay, next up, Laura Labs. Oh, you're with her. Okay. Yeah, then I'm gonna go with, okay, right.
Okay.
Let's take our, agenda item number 2. And, I believe it is number 2.
Bye-bye.
178 Clinton Ave, Riverside Plaza, the applicant seeks variances for the purpose of installing a new LED wall sign exceeding the maximum area allowed by code, requires site plan review at the April 7th, 2025 planning commission meeting.
So, Mr. Horner's not here. It's a simple, anytime they put up a wall sign over there, that's the square footage versus the available.
Mhm.
Linear square footage, they're gonna have to get an area variance, and that's all that is. I mean, it's a
Same call.
same old thing.
Yep, we've had to do it before.
Yeah, we've discussed it quite extensively with, the oil. I mean, whatever, what was the big oil company? Standard Oil or Mobile Oil or something like that, was it? No,
Oh, where, yeah, that was over,
that was another one.
that was another project. That's Valvoline, but
Valvoline.
Valvoline is a little different animal. This,
Yeah,
I mean,
this is some-
this is a shopping center.
Yeah,
Where. I mean, they've already exceeded, I mean, with,
everything is off.
so, just every time they put up a new sign, unless they replace an existing one,
Okay,
they're gonna be here.
yeah.
Because that sign is gonna exceed the available square footage of the frontage of the buildings.
Right, good, all right. Anybody else have any questions for Roy? Otherwise, I
No.
to move to close the public hearing, look for a second.
There.
It's second and, go through our questions. Following tests will be considered by the zoning board of appeals to determine whether the variance, weighing the granting or denial of the area variance request. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. I think it's all, the signage, and signage comes and goes, changes, gets bigger, gets smaller. I don't think that's gonna be a thing. So no, Andy, on that one. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Nope, this is how, all of our changes, are done. Those are the catch anyways. Whether the requested area variance is substantial. I don't think, anything other than all night type sign up there is substantial enough to consider it. So no on those first 3, Andy, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. You know, it is a pretty fit in well with what goes on there, and then whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the board that shall not necessarily conclude the granting of the area variance. And I think that's yes, I think that's something that as the change they have to be. It's good that they're coming in for us, so get that in and see the. Anybody have any other questions related to this? I think it's pretty straightforward considering we've already dealt with or discussed it. So without that, I'd go ahead and move that, we grant the area variance for 170 Clinton Ave, for purpose of installing an new LED wall sign. Allow that, to exceed the maximum area contingent on site plan review by the, court with the planning commission. Look for a second. Second's been made by Teddy. All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Looks like it's gonna be like the restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good spot for it.
Menu looks good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just-
and get in there right before summertime.
Just so you guys are aware that ugly menu that's covering up the entire front window was just there for construction. I've already told them they have to take it down once they open up, because that exceeds the amount, the allowable.
As good as your cooking?
Nothing's as good as my
All right, then,
No,
no reason to go.
just kind of off the record, trying to think, that frosted caboose thing down here. Are we having good luck with those things, with those kind of things that are like 6-month restaurants? Cause I assume this one will be similar to that, like ice cream only, like something.
No, it's not ice cream only.
Well, it's gonna be,
It's no, the PC term is Pan Pacific, whatever it is, restaurant, Asian,
oh,
And,
Pan
Andy,
Asian.
yeah, Andy's more than just ice cream there.
okay.
He does his dogs and everything else there, yeah.
Oh,
He's
wow.
very successful there.
Okay, well, then, I'm staying corrected. That's a good deal. Yeah, we're gonna look forward to that. All right. Agenda item, number 3 is 71 Floral Ave. Applicant seeks a variance for the purpose of installing a 12 by 24 shed.
Shit's going right here, right?
Yeah.
Right by the garage.
So we know this well.
Yes.
Okay.
So just quickly, they're not here right now. I mean, this is, so. Shed under 144 square, but whatever it is, they're adding to something new to the property. If the property is not conforming, obviously, you guys understand you can't add to a non-conforming use.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you guys are starting to see more of these, right?
Yep.
Same principle as always, it's just there's a couple of non-conformities on the property that need to be cleaned up, and when I have an opportunity to do it, that's just how we do it.
Are they out of the flood zone?
Yes,
As, I think we've done this too. Does it require a foundation?
No.
I guess it's just right on the ground.
Probably one of those roll-in drop-off ones.
All right.
the only thing I would make a stipulation on here that they gotta, if you look at the driveway, it's in pretty bad disrepair. Make a stipulation that driveway has to get repaired or repaved or however you want. And part of the issue with the vegetative strip is if you, I don't know whether I attached the easement or not, but it's a shared driveway with the
Well,
neighbors.
it kind of looks like it's shared, but then again, it kind of doesn't look like it is, because the neighbor looks like he's got more of an asphalt where he's got a gravel.
So if you look at the driveway, it looks like it was paved at one time, it's just completely deteriorated, so that's why I said it's gotta be fixed. Gotta be made impervious.
Anybody else have anything to bring up about this? Any comments on that? It's pretty straightforward. Motion, if not. Nothing for me. Okay. I'll add that note about, either resurfacing. Or, repairing.
If you notice the pictures, it's in pretty
Yeah.
rough shape.
You said the word repair can be very ambiguous.
Yeah.
I don't stretch it out to what you need, what you actually want.
So resurface is a good word.
Yeah. That way you have to put some kind of surface down.
Yeah.
Impervious.
You might wanna change your application to it. Got it in there for a grant.
That's, that,
Okay.
Inflation, right?
is that.
Yeah.
So much it was. Yes,
It's a big shed, totally,
Close the public hearing.
but hence the reason why there's feet, any sheds under 100 square feet.
Well, yeah, cause it's kind of, his sketch, his hand sketch. Doesn't match the size of. What he's putting in, because that's probably, it looks like it's as long as the garage, maybe longer. So, for that, I would agree with the driveway, but. Really needs to, do a replacement.
Okay.
That's a big.
Yeah.
That's not proper. And that's gonna be way over here like that. Yep. Yeah. So I agree with, Roy on this one, so.
So I think I could modify it by saying a substantial driveway.
I think she explained to me is they. The father recently passed away and they had to move quickly out of their house, so they needed a large storage place for the items that they moved from their house. So. I believe this is the one.
Yes, you quote.
Yes, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and go through the tests, questions, the following tests were considered by the zoning board of appeals to determine the variance, weighing the granting or denial of the area variance request. Number one, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. It's fairly minor, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. I don't think so with that, that intended use. And whether the area variance is substantial. I think if it gets, resurface the, driveway, the work is certainly substantial, but I don't think the variance itself, in order to achieve that, is something that I would call substantial. I'm gonna go on that one as well, but whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical environmental conditions, neighborhood or district, no, it's all small enough change there, I think is accepted. And then whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the board that shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. And I think that is a yes on that one, Andy. So, entertain a motion on 74 Anybody, just with the idea that we will add a requirement for driveway resurfacing. At some point following the construction of
The driveway be resurfaced because it's not currently impervious.
It's not currently
100% impervious,
it's just
I'm sorry.
it's,
it's not even excited, it's just over the lawn basically, which is.
Oh,
Basically, the lawn is growing.
Lawn's growing over the access.
I wasn't sure what you guys had a picture of that. I'll put the picture there.
So be
Oh, yeah.
brought into compliance,
Perfect.
impervious.
That would be cool. Yeah. That would be good. I will move that sorry. 74.
Yep.
Area variance.
And are we putting some date on that?
What do you think, Roy?
I think you could do a year on this,
Yeah, we give them,
but you just gave 2 years on the other one, so I just did, just, my recommendation is just to be consistent.
Summer of 26, yeah, June.
Summer of 27, or September of 27, so that gives them a year.
Cause I had just gotten an estimate for resurfacing of mine and they can't do it until the spring of next year.
I didn't know this, tell me that, so yeah, so we'll go, we'll do the same as we did with the lady on Fort Watts, always a different kind of structure. Give them time to. Right. Motion's been made, anybody second's been made, all in favor, I say aye. Motion carries, right, so that concludes our regular business, we do have.
So I'll do a formal introduction of our
Yeah.
new city's new corporation council, and for anybody that's not aware, AJ Meldrum, resigned from the city a little while ago. Just before first of the year, I guess. He took a job as court clerk to Judge King. So he's working for the court system. So we conducted a search and we've been fortunate enough to hire Randall Lewis. And do you want to give them a little bit of your background?
Sure, I had the pleasure of joining the city of Cortland after I was one of the federal employees cut by the Trump administration. So, I told everybody that for 20 months I was a recovering attorney. I was a federal mediator instead of practicing law with FMCS, doing labor contract mediation. And, when I lost the job with the Fed, I was lucky enough to land here at Cortland, and it's been starting my 3rd week today. So, it's been a good move so far. Before that, I practiced, did a lot of general practice out in Western New York. And then worked as general counsel for a regional not-for-profit in Western New York as well. For probably close to 25 years between the two. Couple years with the Fed, and currently living up in the Baldwinsville area, but hoping to relocate much closer to Cortland. Once we can find some housing.
Yeah, so I know like on the planning board or planning commission side, special use permits, they often have the council, our attorney, or I'm trying to think if there's business before the ZBA that where we might identify in advance of.
Yeah, then we can go through you, I think would be the best way to go.
Yeah, so if you see something on the agenda that you feel needs consultation of the city attorney, let me know. And
Cause it's not always necessary for you to be here too, you can just do it by phone.
Yeah.
We've done that a few times with AJ.
With AJ, and I think that if you're,
he's heard how interesting it's been inside.
yes, so we.
Yeah, I'm rarely out of here before 5:30 anyway, so it's not a big deal on those Mondays. That if you need me, I'm happy to.
Yeah, we switch the agenda items around. We wanted to have our council inside here, so, yeah, we've oftentimes just had some questions about the, kind of the, whether we can do something remediative, if that's a word, because of extended periods of times of having, non-compliance or something. That's oftentimes something in individual situations where we wanted to just give AJ a quick call or something like that, but certainly that'd be helpful to have. Right inside here. And we sometimes have broken off into the council rooms and discussed things and then, reassemble back in here with decision, things like that, so it's not out of the question. But good to have you on board. Right.
I'll also, if I feel something's gonna be
Yeah,
contentious, and that's what I've done with AJ in the past, I pretty much know.
Yeah.
Ahead of time, if I feel something's gonna be contentious.
yeah, and I think you've done a really good job of tamping them down too as well, because it could be something that got, a little more attention, but I think we've got to try to avoid those guys if we can. All right, well, the agenda item of electing or chair, vice chair is before us, and Jacob will have to go through the second telling of this, but I would encourage, I'm only lived couple blocks up the hill there, so it's easy for me to get to the meetings, of course, and I'm not, gainfully employed, hired and all that, so I don't have, well, do a few things here and there, but I'm usually available for things like this, like when I be at, at certain times like that, but the thing I would extend to you guys, mostly the three of you guys, Teddy, you ran for office once. You guys are, hopefully long life committed to living here in the city. Scott Steve, our mayor, was the chairman of the zoning board when I first started in the 2017 or thereabout. Brett Barnes, is, now chairman of the city Cortland of, large school district, school board. I can't remember the young woman's name, but she's now head of the
Maria Manning.
and then others have been attorney, she's now with the county, social services department. And so it's a good stepping stone for people who want to be in politics. And I just was entertaining myself looking at the list of all of our council people, and Wayne Scott is the youngest one at about 47 years old. And I think there's anything wrong with that.
And I'd like to add to that. He's trying to tell you this is a good stepping stone, but I was a legislator and city clerk, and you did saw where I went right back here. So it's, it's a good for either one of you.
Yeah.
But Scott was a legislator as well as myself.
Yep.
It is a good position because you learn a lot about what Roy does.
Yep.
And I'm amazed at how well he knows that code book.
Yep.
But it does help in the future to understand what the city, has to accomplish. So,
We also have some people here whose professional
Yes, very much so.
experience and knowledge kind of overlaps here too.
that's the reason I ask for insurance questions, because that's what I do.
Mhm.
So I'm always gonna ask about all of that stuff when it comes to insurance.
And
You've got an architecture background.
Yep.
So you guys might wanna think about that too. He lives right up the hill.
And I.
All yours.
I think, I'm able to go to the various, training that the secretary, state secretary of state puts on every so often. And sometimes they're specialized for those meetings. And sometimes they're more for people, for, more rural, zoning people and things like that, but by and large, I've got a pretty good background in it, just from being here, and then my previous work was in zoning, and codes and things like that, all going to be rural forestry type background, but all in all, it seems like we just need to we need to get.
So that said, is there anybody that'd like to put their name in consideration being chair?
Or nominate somebody, whatever the heck. I stop short of nominating, but I can certainly continue to, put my hand in for continuing to chair. And then I just need to find a vice chair.
All right, somebody want to make the motion then for Tom?
I'll make a motion to Tom to be our current chair and stay as chair. Unless somebody else wants to try.
Teddy second, sure to get that done. Didn't go without a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think we would serve well diligently.
And
Not vice chair.
Yeah.
Anybody think that I did vice chair kind of by default, and then Brett was quite active in the school board before he was elected. And so he oftentimes needed to be in two different places, and it was a good exercise for me to be serve under him as vice chair, and it would be something that you interact with me if I wasn't going to be here. I know that I'm going to not be here in May. Be hiking in the Alps. I know that. But so there'll be just some times when we want you to be planning on it, otherwise it may be just something that comes, as a result of something that came up, I could not make, so anybody think that?
Yeah, I can,
Okay, well, I'm just nominate, Kyle. As, vice chair.
I'll second.
Second has been made, all in favor, signify by saying.
Aye.
Aye. There you are, good, 'cause I don't have to- yes. You gotta jet off to the coast.
Hey, actually, next week.
All right. We've settled that,
You mentioned about training, I do have some things that's come through my
yeah,
box. Yeah, Kyle, you sent me something, so, when I go downstairs before I leave, I'll forward out that training information.
oh, okay, well,
I should have done it already.
I know that what's the ADU stuff, the accessory dwelling unit, those kinds of planning items that were at the state assembly and senate level have now worked their way down to the point where the Secretary of State is now training boards like us. It's not a lot of the details, so a lot of the training that's coming up is gonna be very good and timely type of things to attend and have a background knowledge, and pretty much the thing I carry around all the time is my
Well,
book.
there's mandatory
It's
training.
mandatory that you have the hours for,
What you were saying, man.
Yeah, so, CBA planning have a 4-hour annual, training requirement. Some of these things, will provide you a certificate. I'll send out again, there's on-demand trainings and, I put an assigned number of hours to those on-demands that don't issue you some kind of certificate. And I just have you then sign a little attestation that you completed this. They're kind of like YouTube, PowerPoint types of things, but, covering everything from basic, planning, zoning, to less common things. So I'll get this information out to everybody.
Plus, if you'd rather do more in-person stuff, the county usually offers
yeah, that one.
4 to 10 hours of
Yeah, they,
in-person training annual.
And just to note for you two now that you both are there, I'll be going in August and probably September. I'll be in Colorado for the 2 months. Okay. I might be back in time for the September meeting. We could, the day after our meeting in July, and be back until, yes. That's why I could be chair or vice chair or.
I think it's May 26th of the ZBA training with the county.
Or you can guide it down.
yeah, I won't say, I won't be here then. I'll be going from mid-May until June. So it's part of jobs. But there's usually something goes on in the fall. And I did my training last fall, so. Sometime during the year, either that or something like Andy mentioned, some online type of activity or some remote activity.
Yeah, and if you go over,
Yeah.
like, we could roll over.
Yeah. No, we're up next year. Pretty flexible. All right, that all it is there.
We got minutes.
Yeah, we're done.
No, we got minutes.
Minutes are set. Andy did send around the minutes.
Yeah, there is one mistake in there. I think, one of the last votes, I've got 5 people, should be 4 people voting.
With that change. Yeah, all right, yeah, there was, this will take, it's my one, this is last week, last month, all right. If you've had a chance to look them over, that's the change, I did not even notice that, but, if you have any other changes right now, let me know, otherwise I'm gonna move that the, minutes of the February meeting be accepted, wow. Second. Second is May. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right, sorry, stop. All right, with that, I think we're out of things to discuss. Welcome to our council. Thanks for coming by on a dull night. We didn't have anybody yelling, shouting at Roy or anything like that. Roy didn't really have anybody in tonight, so. Plus, I'll, make a motion to adjourn. Second been made, all in favor of adjournment? Aye.
That's sweet. That's the right.
Aye.
It's our April 17th at the Portland County Office Building.